Hello and welcome to a theme park worldwide news update. Now yesterday on the 25th of June 2020, the Walt Disney Company announced that Splash Mountain, located at Disneyland in California and also at Magic Kingdom within Walt Disney World in Florida, will be reimagined. Now it's also worth pointing out there is a third version of Splash Mountain out there in the world, of course at Tokyo Disneyland. At the moment there is no news on the future of Splash Mountain at Tokyo Disneyland. One thing to remember is that with that resort, it is owned and operated by the Oriental Land Company, and they license the attractions and IPs from Disney into their parks. So we may see an announcement in the future from them about a possible change, however, nothing at the moment. So yes, the Retheme is going to be coming in to Splash Mountain. It's certainly news that has shocked a lot of people. It's something that we weren't really expecting at the moment, but Disney did announce it yesterday. Now with Splash Mountain, it's a flume ride that features various different drops, indoor and outdoor sections. The original version of the ride opened in 1989, and that was of course at Disneyland Park in Anaheim in California. They then later opened the version at Tokyo Disneyland and also at the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. So the ride itself is actually based on the stories of the 1946 Disney film Song of the South, and with this it's remained a subject of controversy for a very, very long time due to the contents of the film, but it was all based on that, and when of course that original ride opened, they combined all them different storylines into this attraction. Very heavily themed, lots of animatronics, indoor dark ride sections, and of course the big drop that you get at the end with lots of little drops leading up to it. So over the years, Splash Mountain has become a firm favourite for a lot of people out there. You've got to think millions and millions of people have experienced it ever since that first version of the ride opened at Disneyland in 1989. But yes, yesterday they actually confirmed that there was going to be a change coming, and they didn't just say that there's going to be changes to the ride, they've also confirmed what it's now going to be based on. And this is actually quite exciting because I really liked the Disney film that they're bringing in for the Retheme for this. It was released in 2009 and it's going to be based on The Princess and the Frog. So, of course, with this news that's coming today, we've also got some concept art. So I'll put that up on your screen now and we'll talk a little bit more in detail about what we can see. So you got to think this is literally hot off the press. It's just been announced within the last 24 hours from Disney. And this concept art has been released with the announcement. So as we can see just here, it looks as though there's going to be quite a lot of changes to the outside of the attraction. And you got to bear in mind, this is just concept art. Disney have put this out there. I imagine they're still in the early phase, the early process of putting all of this together. However, they have actually released that they've been working on this for over a year in terms of this Retheme. So like I say, with Song of the South, it's something that's had a lot of controversy for a long time. A lot of people have said for a while that they'd like Disney to make some changes, and then they've come out yesterday and said that this change is going to be coming. So The Princess and the Frog. But let's bring up that concept art again and talk about it in some more detail. So as we can see on there, the main thing that really shines through is of course it's still going to have that shape to it with the rock work, the little building off to the left. The boats look very, very similar to as they are at the moment, and you can see it's still going to have a very sort of nice vibe around the area at the front of the ride. The fact that you've got that big drop going through the rock work, and you know, I really like how it looks like that's going to be staying. Along with that, we can see there's going to be a giant tree coming off the top of the drop just there. At the moment it's sort of all branches and that sort of idea at Splash Mountain. And yeah, we can see like this tree is going to emerge out of the top, and looks like there's loads of little lights and stuff in there. I imagine it'll look beautiful at night with what they're going to be doing to it. And of course also as well, off to the left hand side there, we can see Princess Tiana as well. And I hope that we're going to see some great animatronics within this ride. I mean, with Splash Mountain, I absolutely love it. I've really, really enjoyed it. It was a ride that I always wanted to experience as a kid. I finally went in 2014 and experienced it at Walt Disney World. I've then since gone on to experience the version at Disneyland in California and also at Tokyo Disneyland as well. So it's a ride that I'm very fond of. However, I can understand as well the fact that, you know, Disneyland and the Disney parks are designed to be updated and changed with the time. So I can also see that the ride's been running for a long time. It opened originally in 1989. You know, a change is coming in. So you've got to think they're going to be reimagining this attraction for many more people to enjoy in the future. And I know there's a lot of die-hard Splash Mountain fans out there. I really, really enjoy it. In fact, it's one of my favorite ever Disney attractions. And, you know, I'll go more into why I enjoy it so much in just a moment and some of the other changes that I think we'll see within the ride. But in terms of the concept art, I think it looks like, yes, it's going to have that similar feel to it, but a fresh look on it as well. Because there is some parts of Splash Mountain that needed updating in terms of they were looking a little bit dated in some sections. So, you know, at least with this, a big refresh is coming and it's being rethemed along with it as well. So in terms of The Princess and the Frog, I've seen it a couple of times. Really great film. Like I say, it was released in 2009. In terms of how well it did compared to a lot of the other Disney films, I don't think it did particularly heavily well. However, I know that it was well received by a lot of people that saw it. It just might not be a Disney classic like some of them other films that have come out from Disney and Pixar and stuff over the last few years. But yeah, what they've done, you know, with the film, I really enjoyed it, and the music and the storyline was really nice. And so I'm probably going to have to watch it again actually in the next couple of days just to refresh my memory on it and think about some of the scenes that we might see in the attraction. But you think about Splash Mountain and what it is at the moment. It's a flume ride with these indoor and outdoor sections, and it's got the potential to have so much more to it as well. So as much as I love Splash Mountain, I really feel like with this, after looking more into it and this concept art, and now we know that Tony Baxter, who was one of the original Imagineers that worked on Splash Mountain in the 80s, is going to be back on the project for this retheme, gives me some hope that actually this could actually be a really nice refresh of the attraction. I don't think we'll be seeing any changes to the actual ride system itself, the boats and the drops and that sort of thing. I imagine it will just be a retheme and not changing the actual operation of the ride. So that makes me happy because I really like the ride itself. Something that I really, really am going to miss is the soundtrack. And I think this is something that a lot of people have picked up on from yesterday's announcement already. The soundtrack is absolutely incredible. You've got Zippity Doodah in there, that's brilliant. Along with that as well, you've got Laughing Place, and everybody's got a laughing place. It's just a really good, catchy song to sing to throughout the ride. It really builds up various different tracks. Of course, and you come back into Zippity Doodah at the end with the Zippity Lady, the big showboat. But going into that, I'm hoping the showboat will be staying. I mean, that will fit with Princess and the Frog if you've seen it. There is a showboat featured in there. And it kind of, you know, it's this journey through New Orleans that we're going to be going on, down the river through New Orleans on this adventure. And I've got this little bit of a statement that I thought I'd read out for you now from the Walt Disney Company and this announcement. So they've said that they're going to pick up the story just after the final kiss and join Princess Tiana and Louis on a magical adventure featuring some of the powerful music from the film as they prepare for their first ever Mardi Gras performance. So that's what the ride is going to be based on, that section from the film leading up to the Mardi Gras, and you're going to be travelling down the bayou and all this lighting, and I imagine it'll be really nice how they can set the scene in there, especially if Disney's technology has come so far since 1989 when this was first put in. And we saw updates when they opened the versions in Tokyo and at Walt Disney World in Florida. You know, they increased the capacity, for example. At Disneyland it was a standard single log boat, whereas they increased the capacity and doubled it and put two people next to each other when they opened the other versions. So Disney have come a long way, and I feel like with the technology, with projection mapping and new scale of animatronics they can put into this, it could be a really nice attraction. And I'm all for Disney, you know, reimagining things if I think they're going to do it right. With this, I feel like, you know, from looking at the concept art, it could be great. Don't get me wrong, it's a shock. I wasn't expecting it. I really thought Disney, you know, we're going to keep Splash Mountain as it was. However, it's, you know, a bit of a shock that this news has come out. However, after looking more into it, I really feel like they'll be able to do some really good things with this. I'm definitely going to have to rewatch The Princess and the Frog in the next couple of days just to refresh my memory and think, oh, that scene could work here or there. So final sort of thing I wanted to talk about with this was the areas. So of course at Disneyland it's within its own area, Critter Country. However, over at Magic Kingdom in Florida, it's a part of Frontierland. So then you've got to think, how will this fit in with Frontierland? So you go back to Disneyland, right next to it, you've got that beautiful Rivers of America, you've got New Orleans Square and that section there, the Haunted Mansion, and then right next to the Haunted Mansion pretty much is Critter Country. So I imagine they're going to expand that New Orleans Square area up towards the Princess and the Frog, or at least that's what I'm imagining in my head. The fact that it kind of stops at the moment at the Haunted Mansion, and then you can walk a little bit further and you're literally out the front of Splash Mountain. To me, it seems like we're going to be maybe see the end of Critter Country and the expansion of New Orleans Square, or at least that's what I'd like to see, because I love that area at Disneyland. And I'm not too sure in terms of what we might be seeing at Walt Disney World with that. I mean, like I say, it's part of Frontierland. They could make Frontierland a bit smaller and keep it kind of separate, but then you've got to think not too far away you've got other attractions that form part of Frontierland. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what they're going to do at the parks, and also with Japan as well, with Tokyo Disneyland. Is it going to stay? Are we going to see a change come in for that? Is it going to get announced later? Like I say, it's the Oriental Land Company that own and operate it. As much as the, pay Disney for the licenses, they operate it, they make the decisions. So it'll be interesting to see on what they do in the future. Maybe they've got something else planned for it, maybe it'll stay just the same, or we might see this but announced later on. So overall, they're my thoughts on it. But I think, quickly thinking about it, some new animatronics, new technology, keeping that ride system completely updated in terms of what they can do with technology in there, but keeping that signature drop at the end, that big plunge, and the whole rockwork look of it. I mean, that's what I really like, that looking at it from an off-ride perspective, and when you come out towards the start of the ride and you do that turn and you see the drop, that's iconic to me. And as long as that stays, I'm not too fussed about what the theme changes to, as long as we keep that iconic look to it. The soundtrack I will miss a lot. I love the soundtrack, especially Laughing Place down there with all the fountains going over. I will miss that. However, I'm all for things have got to move on, things have got to change going forward, and Disney's always got to be updated. And Walt Disney always said it, Disneyland will never be complete. There's now 12 Disney parks in the world. They'll never be complete. They're always going to be updated. And this is the next in that line of updates. And a lot of changes what Disney have done over the years, I 100% agree with. There's some things that I'm not a big fan of. Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, for me, at Disney California Adventure, that was a retheme of Tower of Terror. I really didn't enjoy it at all. And, but I talk all about that in the vlog I filmed back in January this year. Check it out if you've not seen it. However, I know a lot of people really like what they've done to that. So it all depends on your personal preference and taste. And with this one, I imagine it's going to be something that a lot of people don't agree with, a lot of people agree with. However, I'm kind of neutral on it. I'm in the middle. I'm sad that we're losing it, but I can also see to the future and what they can do now with technology. I look at the indoor section on the Na'vi River journey at Animal Kingdom in the Pandora, the world of Avatar. That indoor section is absolutely stunning with the Na'vi animatronics, and you've got all the lighting and projection effects. And then you look at something like Splash Mountain and it looks really out of date in comparison. So I think we could be seeing massive updates in terms of the technology being brought in, along with this overall Princess and the Frog retheme. But there we go. Thank you very much for joining me for another news update here on Theme Park Worldwide. I've got some more news coming all for you later on today, actually, that I look forward to sharing as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And of course, check out our playlist here on Theme Park Worldwide, and that you'll see all of the different news updates that we film here on the channel. I'm Sean Sandbrook. Thanks for joining me for some more Disney news, and that means it's time to cue those credits. See you all soon.